Hello again. I need you all to get familiar with a new segment that we are debuting right now. It is called Final Take, where Stephen A. and Max get to go in on the hottest topic of their choosing. You never know what these men are going to say, and it is uninterrupted. On that note, Stephen A. Smith, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Molly. In 2003, the NFL established something called the Rooney Rule. By now, we all know it's a policy that requires league teams to interview, not hire, minority candidates for head coaching jobs and senior football operation jobs. For years, so many have sat back and wondered aloud, why? Why on earth is there a need for such a policy, particularly in the world of professional sports and especially in football? Well, here's another question. Has anyone paid attention to the career of Jeff Fisher? Once this season officially ends, Fisher will have missed the playoffs 16 times in 22 years as a head coach in the National Football League. Fisher has not won a playoff game since 2003. He has not had a winning season since 2008. In fact, he hasn't even had a record better than 500 since 2009. And yet here we are in 2016 at a time in our country where America and greatness are used as words to accentuate the meritocracy we're supposed to be. And this same Jeff Fisher, we learned yesterday, has actually received a 2-year contract extension. Still wondering why the Rooney Rule exists? Truth is, there's nothing that exemplifies the need for the Rooney Rule better than Fisher. His presence alone highlights cronyism, convolutes what actually defines merit, and above all else illuminates the difference between blacks and whites in this country. Following an 11-5 record and a trip to the playoffs 2 years ago, Jim Caldwell went 7-9 in Detroit last year and still felt a hot seat coming this season. None of us, including me, will hesitate to say Marvin Lewis has to go in Cincinnati, but the man has guided the Bengals to the playoffs each of the last 5 years, you know. How about Mike Tomlin, who feels heat weekly in Pittsburgh, despite a Super Bowl title and 2 Super Bowl appearances? And we all know what's already being said about Todd Bowles' potential future with the year the New York Jets are having. The point is, no level of ineptitude on any level, in any sport, compares to the pathetic results produced by Jeff Fisher. Yet he's still around, in LA no less, sunshine and palm trees surrounding him everywhere. I would ask someone to try and justify this, but anyone with sense knows better than to try that with me. So instead, I'll end by asking these simple 2 questions. Could anyone in America produce as little as Fisher and still keep their jobs? Better yet, would you still have your job? Take your time in answering that question. I'll wait.
Only in America. If you missed any of our final takes, go to our Facebook page. We're going to post them there daily. Get involved in the conversation. Chime in. It is tough to argue that one, Max Kellerman.
Yeah, I would say that barring greater equality in terms of the treatment of coaches, you'd at least hope that there would be an example of a black coach who was a miserable failure and still kept his job, and we could all be outraged about that because it would take race out of it, I suppose. Look, Fisher had the team go out and lay an egg right after he signs the deal, and then he doesn't have his challenge flag ready.
Find the flag.
The optics are really, really bad for him right now.
And bad for the Rooney Rule.
No question. Those Dolphins came into Sunday's game on a 6-game winning streak and in the conversation for a playoff spot in the AFC. Then it all came crashing down in Baltimore. The Dolphins were blown out 38-6. To the Ravens and gave nearly 500 yards up of total offense. Merrill Hodge in the house. Good day. Good to see you. I need to start with Stephen A. on
Get him
this.
going. He's ready.
He's already
ready.
going. What happened to Miami?
Oh, Miami reminded you of who they were, just like I told you they would. They're fraudulent. That's what it is.
You're really enjoying today's show.
Listen, in all seriousness, we've been waiting to see Ryan Tannehill return to Ryan Tannehill, not the dude he's been the last 6 weeks, where he actually resembled a big-time quarterback. No, he came crashing down to earth. But in fairness to him, he wasn't the only one. He just couldn't stop the bleeding. You had Dennis Peter, who hadn't scored a touchdown in 3 years. All of a sudden, he's wide open all day long. You had some cornerback giving up slant patterns all day long. Ryan Tannehill threw 1 interception and 9 touchdowns in the previous 6 weeks. He threw 3 interceptions yesterday. They got beat up on the offensive line and the defensive line. Ultimately, what this comes down to, and I often say this, Max, I often say this is very, very important. the power of South Beach is very, very detrimental to something. Now, I know it's more closer to Fort Lauderdale, but the point is they can get to South Beach. It's a distraction sometimes.
But I have a different take than that. They were playing at Baltimore.
What did they do during the week? They won in Baltimore a week.
Okay, but they've been on a roll. And what this says to me, Merrill,
they got comfortable.
Is the Dolphins are moving in the right direction. Tannehill has surprised me. He played much better. I thought I would be done with him if I were them already. But okay, he actually, I thought, played well. To my eyes, he played well. And the Dolphins were on a roll. What happens when it starts to really be meaningful because you put yourself in a good position and you go on the road and get punched in the mouth early? How do you respond? And the way they didn't tells me they're just not ready. Joe Flacco hit him in the mouth early. They were on the road. They had no response. The team's not ready.
Well, listen, I would agree. They're not ready. South Beach, you have a point, and here's where you have a point. Here's where you have a point, though.
Yes.
But here's where you have a point. Around December, here's where you have a point. The people up north can't wait to get down to South Beach and Miami. It is no longer a home field advantage in December, where, like Pittsburgh, Baltimore, all those Northeast teams in December, that is a major advantage for them. It is not for the Miami Dolphins when you roll down into their territory. Now, I'm going to give you a chance to pick one name for the Miami Dolphins that's been the most talked about player other than Tannehill.
Jay
Ajayi.
Right, okay. There's where the problem fell. People think because I played running back that I harp on a factor back. I believe in the fact because I played it. And it's part of it. But I understand the importance of it. You know, I played for Chuck Noll. I played for Bill Cowher. I played in Chicago with Dave Wanstead. I've studied this game for over 30 years, and there is one phase of a team that permeates on both sides of the ball, and that's running the football. When you do that, you said your eye told you Tannehill played better. He actually did, because they controlled, they dictated, they made it easy for him, and he made some spectacular throws. He did some complementary things to that running game. We roll up to the Ravens, best run defense in football. All you have to do is watch them against Dallas. I mean, unless Dallas can move some people around them, they were struggling running the football. You felt with that offensive line problems, that was going to be a problem. Well, once that pyramid tips, it's over. And it's over for both sides of the ball. To your point, are they there? No. You got to be able to go up into Baltimore in the Northeast in the wintertime and beat people like that, beat Dallas like that. And until you get to that level, no. But they have made improvements.
Understand something. On this, I would consider myself pretty close to an expert.
Oh.
You must understand.
Oh, here we go.
That when you are winning and you're in South Beach, even though you have to go to Baltimore on a Friday, Saturday, that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You're living large. You understand what I'm trying to say? There are distractions. Now,
there's a reason the Dolphins never win the Super Bowl.
Now, last time I checked my we talk about football. We talk about dedication. We talk about it being 24/7. We talk about no days off, even if you're not working out physically. You're constantly working out mentally. You don't take days off. Except for when you're in South Beach. I mean, it just happens. I mean, no one saw this, but I did, because the 6-game winning streak, the way they were balling, everybody talking about them, they're feeling themselves, they're relevant for the first time in a long time, and on top of it all, you're in South Beach.
Yeah, they're on an episode of Ballers.
You're really between Miami and Fort Lauderdale, but South Beach is it's 25 minutes, maybe 26. I mean, it's 25, 26 minutes away. Okay, so this is the point that I'm trying to tell you. That's what happened. That's what happened.
Okay. But what bothered me about them, the reason I said they're not ready, because sometimes all those terrible sports cliches that a lot of times don't apply in like basketball or baseball, in a full contact sport, they do apply, right? So how do you respond to adversity? You know, how does the adrenaline on the line work? You know, how can you get up for these big moments? Can you come back? And it's not so much that they lost. It's the fact that they had no response when they got knocked down early and had no response and just got dominated.
Well, now we don't know if they don't have a response, because actually this can happen where you just there's nothing going right. Their response could be that, listen, this would be a great learning opportunity. You're Gase, you go in there and go, hey guys, listen, to both of your point, we are not there. We still have another step to go. Now, how do we respond the rest of the year? That's where people are going to watch us, and that's how we're going to see what kind of team we are. How do we finish?
Yep.
All right.
And I will never argue sunscreen in December, bro. I'm not going to do that.
Oh, you said
Yeah.
sunscreen.
Miami.
I said South Beach.
Miami, sexy
In
little
South
city.
Beach, baby.
Quite
Because
the
you're not
vibe.
wearing it in Buffalo.
So you're saying there's options
You
down
can get
there. All
sunscreen
right.
in a lot of places, not
After the
South Beach.
break. The best record in the NFL over the last 22 regular season games belongs to the Kansas City Chiefs, who are 19-3. The Chiefs rallied to defeat the Falcons after Eric Berry intercepted Matt Ryan's two-point conversion attempt for the game winner. Stephen A., is it time to call the Chiefs the best team, the best,
It might be.
in the AFC?
It might be. I've been talking about the Oakland Raiders for some time because that offense is high-powered.
Don't go out too much on a limb there. It might be.
Well, it might be. I can do that. I can afford to do that. You see what I'm saying? Here's the deal. Kansas City
Max.
is both sides of the field. What I'm seeing from them is a complete team. Somehow, some way, they play solid on both sides of the football. But here's the biggest element. They don't beat themselves. They make you beat them. There are times when you can legitimately argue that the Raiders put you in a position to beat them because they beat themselves with some of their mistakes. You can say the same thing about the Steelers. You can say the same thing about the Ravens. You can say the same thing about the Broncos. You can say, of course, you can say anything about anybody in the AFC South. All right? To a lesser degree about New England, of course. Kansas City is right there. I could never pick Alex Smith over Tom Brady on his best day. I just can't do it. But I am paying attention to the Kansas City Chiefs. And right now, they appear to be the most complete team. I would say yes. That doesn't mean that'll be the case at the end of the season. But right now, it may be yes.
Yeah, it is yes right now. And the reason more people aren't saying yes is because they lack sex appeal, right? They don't have that stud quarterback that makes you like Derek Carr, the X factor. There's no X factor, at least on offense, at least under center on the team. And so people are hesitant to do it. But you know what I see as the X factor is Andy Reid. I mean, Andy Reid is like Marty Schottenheimer plus. You had a lot of criticism about Andy Reid when you got him. Oh, where are the Super Bowls? And then you don't got him. And
Right.
How you doing, Philadelphia?
Right.
I mean, when he took over Kansas City, that was a bum squad. Bums. And in 1 year, they got 11 wins. And they, 9 wins, 11 wins. I mean, wherever he goes. And then Andy Reid teams also advance in the playoffs. So that's what they don't have, the guy at quarterback that makes people want to pick them. They're not the sexy pick, but it's an Andy Reid team. It's extremely well coached, both sides of the ball, and at this moment, they are the best team in the conference.
When you watch the games of the Kansas City Chiefs, because we talked about Oakland, they win games very much like Oakland. I mean, you think back to the San Diego Chargers in Week 1. You go Carolina Panthers. But it's what you said, though, Max. When the Raiders come back, they come back because the quarterback's throwing the ball all around the field. We're getting deep balls to Amari Cooper. People offensively making plays. When the Kansas City Chiefs make plays, it could be Eric Berry. It could be Marcus Peters. It could be Tyreek Hill, which is why now
Justin Houston on defense.
Which is why now they've moved into the number 2 slot for me, but I can't say that they're better than the New England Patriots because what we also know about this team, the offense goes missing. You think back to early on in the season, the games against the Texans, games against the Steelers. This offense sometimes puts this team in places where they can't come back, where Eric Berry and Marcus Peters and Justin Houston can't make the plays to get the
Now
game
it's
won.
Yeah, it's all
Swinging it down the
special,
field.
special teams
right.
defense.
And so what makes me nervous is when you get into the playoffs, if a game gets down to Alex Smith and this offense versus a Derek Carr and the Oakland Raiders versus a New England Patriots and Tom Brady, it scares me that they won't have the firepower to pull those games out. But for what they've done as a total team throughout this season, I think they show us on Thursday night that they're the best team in the AFC West and can compete with
Not
the
only
New
that,
England
they
Patriots.
force turnovers better than anybody. I mean, they're number 1 in the league now. Now they're 28th in yards allowed. They're 27th against the rush. And somebody should be able to exploit that. But somehow, some way, they make plays and they make you make mistakes better than anybody in football right now. That's why you got to watch out for them.
You talk
And they
about-
smacked around the Raiders.
I brought up Houston because on that side of the ball, how many guys are better at rushing the passer in the NFL?
We saw that in prime time.
In
First
the
game back
NFL,
against Denver.
right? Even when you account for all the games he's missed, the only guy has more sacks than him over that time period, over his career, it's J.J. Watt and Von Miller. And it's not that many more, and the dudes missed 10, 11 games more than those guys. They have weapons on both sides of the ball, but they missed the stud quarterback.
This Thursday, when they go up against the Raiders at Arrowhead Stadium, That ain't about them. No matter what happens with Kansas City, they already smacked the Raiders around once. This game is going to tell us a lot about the Raiders.
No
You're undefeated, you know, you winning games on the road or whatever. We about to find out about
Don't want to get rid of Thursday Night Football?
And
Well,
Arrowhead is so tough.
Here's the
to play.
toughest thing. That's a terrible place to play a football game.
Arrowhead?
When we were as good as we were, when we were winning Super Bowls, we were going 12-4, and 12 wins seemed like for sure coming into many seasons, we would go down to Kansas City and get our butts whipped.
Why is it? Because it's so loud?
I don't know if it's loud, if the red is ugly. I don't know if the fans are too close. That team is different there. That defense has always been different there. And you talk to many people, when you smell that barbecue, when you pull it up into the parking lot, you know you're in for a long day.
It's intimidating.
And so this is going to be exciting for me because that offense, Oakland's offense has to go in there and make plays. And I think Kansas City shows that they're the cream of the crop in the AFC West on Thursday.
We shall see. It's going to be good. Ryan, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank
We
you,
will see
guys.
you on
See you,
NFL
bro.
Live.
I can't wait for this last take. What is it? Last take?
Final take.
Oh, man.
Please tweet us after #Final Take. We want your
Final
commentary.
take.
Listen, I will
And you started off, right?
I will allow you to critique me. I'll be doing most of them, but my man here is going to do some as well. But you know what? I will allow you to critique me. I usually don't, but I
Okay.
will allow you to critique me on this one.
We got to talk about it on the radio show.
Oh, Lord.
All right.